So I hope this actually helps what I've just said. Okay. So we'll start with a very basic stuff, and let's just go and start our discussion. Say, what is AI, right? So we'll start with this very simple definition of AI, and then basically we'll build upon that definition and then start, right? Okay, so now I'll be using a whiteboard. I'll just share that whiteboard with you. So I hope you can see this. So you can see the whiteboard, right? Okay, great. So let's just start with this very simple definition of what AI is. Okay, so we'll start with this very simple definition. The so so let me just ask you guys that, okay, what do you think AI is? Maybe you can write down something in the chat, or you can open up your mic and maybe uh, try to answer what AI is, or what do you think AI should be? Yes, these slides will be uploaded. Don't worry about that. Okay, and this would also be recorded, so you'll get the slides, right? Wherever the slides would be required, I'll actually be sending those slides, right? So I just want to make this more interactive, so that's why I'm using this whiteboard, right? So so part of my lecture would be on the whiteboard, and part of my lecture would be using some slides. So when I'll be uploading the slides that are related to the whiteboard that I'm going to use, right? So I hope, Dana, that answers your question. Okay. So what do you think AI is in your view? I mean, if you are asked to answer this question, then uh, so so I've got one answer from Jihad. If I'm correctly pronouncing your names, computer. So okay. So Ahmed has actually said that AI is a technology that enables computer to learn, read, and analyze. We have got another answer which says that computer systems can perform complex tasks. You have huge data work in order of instruction that programmers put. Uh, okay, so there was some disruption. So we will start again. Okay. So, right. So I've got some multiple answers, and that's really wonderful. That's really nice to have these various definitions. So there is another definition. It says that it's a type of technology developed by us to help us. Then Musk actually says that it's simulation of human intelligence. So I mean, these are all really very good definitions that we have got here. And let me just share my view on AI, what AI is, and I think it's really very good to have these variety of, and most of you are actually, in fact, all of you are correct. Okay, the definition that you have actually mentioned, but I'll be presenting this definition in a little bit different way. Okay, so what I'll be doing is that, okay, if we talk about AI, so what we'll do is that, okay, we'll start with a very simple example. So let's say if I give you these two shapes, right? Okay, so let's make them three. Okay, so we have got these three shapes with us. Okay, so if I ask you that, okay, so what is this shape? And if I say that, what is this shape? And maybe what is this shape? So you can very easily distinguish between these shapes. And you can say that, okay, this is a rectangle, then you have a circle, then you have a triangle, right? But how you are able to recognize this, right? You are able to recognize this because you have actually seen these shapes and you have been taught that these are the shapes and these are their names. Okay. And that's why you are able to basically recognize the differences between these different objects which I have drawn. And based upon these differences or in shapes, you are in a position to identify uh, the differences, right? Okay. So, so if I ask you that, okay, if I give you any shape, you will be very easily saying that, okay, this is a rectangle. You will be saying that this is a circle. Then you will be saying that this is actually a triangle, right? Okay, so this is what I say, the process of recognizing or the recognition process that humans actually perform, right? And let's say, let me give another example. This is an alphabet A, and then you have an alphabet B, and then you have an alphabet C. And similarly, you have got other alphabets. And again, if I write these alphabets and I ask you that, okay, tell me the name of these alphabets. So you can very easily say that, okay, this is A, this is C, this is B, and these are the different alphabets that we have actually got. Okay, fine. So you are again able to recognize. Same is the case with alphabets in any language. Okay. And that is the process of recognizing or recognition process, right? That is performed by humans. So what we try to do, sorry, what we try to do, what we are trying to do here is that if a computer is able to perform this task, which we are calling a recognition task, then we say that, okay, that system is primarily an AI-enabled system. Why? Because it's able to perform a task that a human is actually performing using some knowledge that was gathered previously, right? Okay. Uh, Actually, it would be a little difficult for me to actually translate this or explain this in Arabic. I can go slow if you have issues in understanding English. So one of the comments that I got in the chat is that we need say Arabic explanation. So that would be a little difficult. But what we can do is that maybe uh, one of you amongst you, if someone could say help in translating this in Arabic, that would be really good. So maybe that would primarily help. So maybe the key things that we are that we'll be discussing, those things can be translated by our fellow students in Arabic. Uh, I have problems in like speaking in Arabic. So reading is not an issue, but speaking the language is an issue. So I hope that will help. And we'll also be, because we have this recorded session along with the slides. So that would help. So that would be great. I think if someone like, if I'm Mohammed, that would be really great if someone can actually write in the chat, and then maybe we can discuss that. Okay. So I'll give you an outline of the course as well, but let's just start and complete this discussion first on the definition of AI, and then we can like so then we can like discuss that what type of topics or chapters we'll actually be studying. Okay, so let's just try to see that what AI is. Okay, first of all. So we were talking about, and I would really require your help for to translate some of the concepts, maybe in the written form also, to your fellow students or friends who have difficulty in understanding uh, English. I hope most of you understand English, and there shouldn't be a problem. But of course, if you talk in mother language, that is obviously much better. But that's the limitation that we'll be having for this particular course. Okay, so coming back to this discussion, that okay, if I give you these alphabets or these shapes, or if I give you any other, say, for example, task, that okay, if I ask you that distinguish between, let's say, different types of objects, say cars, bikes, and bicycles, or any other different types of objects, again, you'll be very easily recognizing. So that's like one of the tasks that humans perform very well. And we want these tasks to be performed by the computers. And therefore, you require some intelligent algorithms who can actually, those algorithms could actually then help computers perform this task. Okay, so the first task is primarily what we have just seen is the recognition task. Okay, so the recognition task is primarily based upon what? Based upon your knowledge that you have gathered in the past. Okay, and this process is known as the learning process. Okay, so you call this as the learning process. Okay, so this is what you call this. So this is the learning. Okay, so one of the tasks that we want computers to perform is the task of learning. We want them to learn. And what would be required for the computers to learn? That depends upon the algorithms that or the computer, the way you write the computer programs. But the same thing that a human requires to learn would be required by a computer to learn. Okay. And what is that? That will be required for computers or by the humans to learn? Anyone? Okay. Yeah.
Can you repeat
Okay. So
the question again?
my question is that if you want to develop a system that is capable of learning, okay, or let's
Yes.
recognizing, then what will be required to develop such a system?
Data set.
Okay. So obviously you will require a data set. Okay. So that, what does that mean? That means that you will actually be requiring examples, right? And those examples that you will actually be requiring, those examples should be, yeah. So you require data. And then those examples should be in a way that they are labeled examples. When we say labeled example, it means that if I give a data set saying that, okay, this is a rectangle, I'll have to tell the system first, a computer system first, that, okay, this shape is called a rectangle. This is called an alphabet A. This is called an alphabet B. So what I'll actually be saying is that, okay, I'll be providing the data set, and that data set will be called, or that data set should be a labeled data set. Okay. So you require labeled data set. Okay. And now this, okay. Is there any question? Okay. So the first requirement for any learning system is that you need to have data. And the second requirement is that that data should be labeled. Okay. Any data set that is labeled and that an algorithm uses that data set, okay, then such an algorithm is called a supervised learning algorithm. So we call it what? A supervised learning algorithm, right? So what would be a supervised learning algorithm? A supervised learning algorithm will be an algorithm that requires data that is labeled. Okay. Okay. So in what form that data would be? That data would be that, okay, you have the shape here, and then you will say that, okay, how many sides this shape has? Okay, 4 sides. Okay. The second thing is that 2 sides are primarily of same length, right? And 2 sides are of same length, but of a different length. For example, this one and this one would be same, and this one and this one would be same. Okay, so if that's the case, then this is called a rectangle, and I'll actually say that, okay, this would be a rectangle. It has got 4 sides, and 2 opposite sides are of same length. And I've actually labeled it as R, where R represents a rectangle. Okay. Then I can say that, okay, what would be a triangle? So I'll have to give the data. So what would be the data? Number of sides. How many sides are there? 3. Okay. And how many sides could be same? All 3 could be same. All 3 could be different, right? So this is something that you may not like to answer, or you may not like to include this in this particular scenario. But anyways, if you are talking about a triangle which has got all 3 sides same, you will say that, okay, this is an equilateral triangle. And okay, so let's keep it simple. We'll say that, okay, it's represented by T. T is representing that it's a triangle. Similarly, okay, you have a circle, and you will actually say that how many sides this circle has.
One side.
Okay,
Inf
which one?
infinite size. Infinite.
Okay, that's wonderful. So a circle has an infinite size. So you can't really count the number of sides here. Okay, it doesn't have one side. Okay, so let's say that this is something that we call one side. Okay, so it's very different from here. Okay, so the number of sides are infinite. You can't really count these sides. Okay, sides. And I'll call it a circle. Okay, so what I'm trying to develop here is that I'm trying to develop a data set that is actually a labeled data set, right? Okay, so I need to provide a system with this type of a data set. And then I train some algorithms, I use or develop some algorithms, I use some algorithms, some methods that would perform this learning task. Okay, and we call this as learning. Okay, so that's the first thing that we require. Now, what is the second most important things that humans do and we want the machines to do the same, in your opinion?
Recognition.
So recognition is part of learning. I've just given you the example of recognition. Other than, because recognition will be done I mean, is a part of the learning thing. So is there anything else that, okay, Jihad is actually said that, okay, it's the analysis of the data. Okay, that's a very nice answer. Thank you. Now, so how would an analysis be performed? What is that your brain is actually doing to analyze? Okay. So in order to perform an analysis, or in order to move or do something based upon the learned concepts that you have to obviously perform analysis. And okay, so the first thing is learning. I've just explained that. Now, the second thing, the most important thing, which is related to analysis, and this is, by the way, a very good answer. That process, in case of humans, is actually called reasoning, right? So you learn, and the second stage or the advanced stage is that based upon your learning, reason about things. That's the next phase, right? Yeah, or organization of the data is also there, but analysis is something that is what you do in reasoning. Okay, so if I give you a if I give you a graph, for example, if I say that, okay, I've got this x variable here, which is an independent variable, I've got a y variable here, and this is the relationship between the two. And I ask you to explain this to me, that how X and Y are related. Okay. Now, this is something that falls under reasoning. So you actually, you already know this shape, that, okay, this shape is, let's say, an exponential sort of an increase. And if, let's say, I've got this shape, which I've represented by this dotted line, right? This is a straight line, right? So you can actually because you have actually learned before, okay, this shape is primarily a straight line and this one is primarily an exponential increase. So if I ask you to reason about the behavior of X versus Y, you can very easily tell me that, okay, X and Y are basically, as X increases, if it is, let's say, following this curve, as X increases, Y also increases, but the rate at which it increases is different from X. Okay. And that means that it's not like directly proportional. I mean, the change in X is way different from the change in Y. And that type of reasoning comes to your mind. So primarily, what I'm trying to tell you here is that, okay, the second most important thing that you require the systems to do, the computers to do, is the reasoning process. Okay, so that's the second most important thing that you want after you have learned few things about how to learn. Okay, and that actually in a way completes the functionality of a brain to some extent, of a human brain. So what is humans capable of? Humans are capable of learning and then using that learned concepts, they reason about various things, right? So now let me just erase some of these things from here, and I'll just keep these two things uh, on the whiteboard, which would primarily lead you to the definition of artificial intelligence. Okay, so artificial intelligence is nothing else other than developing computer systems that are able to learn and reason. Okay, in very simple terms. So if you are able to develop systems that are able to learn and reason, they are called AI systems, right? Okay. So what we can further do is, because AI incorporates learning as well as reasoning, therefore, if a system is only capable of learning, even then we call that system an AI system. If a system is only capable of reasoning, even then we'll call such a system an AI system. So this one would be a relatively weak system. When we say weak system, it means that it's, let's say, not complete. It's only capable of learning. And if it is only doing reasoning, we'll say that, okay, fine, this is also an AI system, but because it is not learning on its own, therefore it's not a complete AI system. So a definition of a complete AI system would be ideally a system that is capable of learning and reasoning. Okay. So is this concept clear? Okay. If you have any questions, you can straight away stop me and ask any question. Right? Okay. Wonderful. So let's move on to the next part of our discussion.